At the beginning of the film, Gru takes three of his minions to a reunion of the villain school alumni, which is located on the top of a mountain. Gru warns the minions to be cautious of a villain named Maxim, a member of the Anti-Villain League who has been at odds with Gru since their school days. Maxim is easily recognizable as the most gorgeously dressed person in the crowd. As soon as Maxim approaches, he speaks disrespectfully to Gru, sparking a confrontation that draws the attention of everyone around. Maxim's girlfriend, Valentina, is equally flamboyant in her strange attire. Just as the two are exchanging insults, the principal begins a speech from the stage, announcing that the prestigious Golden Alumni Award will be presented that night. Gru eagerly anticipates the results, but the winner turns out to be Maxim, recognized for his childhood passion for studying cockroaches and his recent development of a potion that grants people insect-like abilities. After receiving the award, Maxim demonstrates his invention by transforming into a cockroach man, terrifying the crowd. The minions, alarmed, quickly pull out insecticide while Gru, showing his anti-villain league credentials, prepares to apprehend Maxim. Gru manages to trap Maxim's limbs, but the villain's insect form allows him to grow additional fierce appendages. Maxim now has 4 arms, and Gru has no choice but to summon the officers waiting outside. However, Maxim's cockroach form is not only extremely fast but also cunning, allowing him to evade the officers' attempts to capture him. In the end, it is Gru who fires a specialized net that finally catches Maxim, who is now jumping frantically. In the crowd, Valentina quietly slips away unnoticed. After the mission, Gru returns to his small home where his 3 daughters warmly welcome him. But this time, things are different. Gru and Lucy now have a son, Little Gru, who is a miniature version of his father. While taking care of Little Gru is challenging, the minions help with everything from brushing teeth to changing diapers. However, the peace of Gru's family life is short-lived. Maxim, now in prison, sends a message threatening revenge on Gru. And soon after, Gru learns that Maxim has escaped from prison. To protect his family, Gru decides to move temporarily to an AVL safe house. Though Gru is upset about separating his youngest daughter from her beloved pet, the minions treat the situation like an exciting school trip. Most of the minions are sent to the AVL headquarters, but Carl, who is responsible for picking them up, struggles to control the rowdy group, eventually bringing them to the headquarters building. Meanwhile, Gru's car arrives in a beautiful suburban community, and everyone's spirits lift at the sight of the luxurious buildings. However, the person in charge directs them to park outside the most dilapidated and narrow house in the area, which will be their new home. Despite the cramped conditions, the house is equipped with top-notch security features, and new identities are prepared for the family. Gru is now a solar panel salesman, Lucy is a hairstylist at an upscale salon, and the 3 girls are given new names. Though for clarity, we'll continue calling them by their old names, Margot, Edith, and Agnes. The person in charge also advises Gru to control his temper and try to fit into the new community. Lucy sees this as an opportunity to spend more time with the children. Meanwhile, a cockroach crawls out of a garbage truck, crosses the street, and jumps into the sewer. At that moment, in the underworld, a party is being thrown by Maxim's cockroach minions, who are ecstatic to welcome their boss back. Maxim, revered by these cockroaches for recognizing their value, has already devised a plan to take revenge on Gru by kidnapping his beloved son. To achieve this, he designs a new handheld deformer and an advanced cockroach fighter. As the enormous machine hovers above the city, Valentina activates the flamethrower, sending the giant cockroach into the sky. Meanwhile, Gru and his family are enjoying a rare moment of peace in their new daily routine. Agnes was unhappy with her new name and lost her temper early in the morning because she didn't want to lie in front of her new classmates. She pointed out that unlike her sister Edith, who lies all the time, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Edith immediately protested, saying, "No, I don't." To which Agnes retorted, "See, she's lying now." After dinner, Lucy took her 2 younger daughters to a taekwondo gym, while Gru took Margot to school and cared for their younger son. Luckily, Gru left 3 minions at home to serve as nannies. Before he could set off, he ran into a neighbor. Remembering the instructions from the person in charge, Gru approached him warmly. However, this neighbor, Perry, was the wealthy heir of a car company and looked down on Gru, who was supposedly just a solar panel salesman. Perry's daughter Patch was equally cold, but Gru wasn't deterred. He hoped Patch could become friends with Margot. What Gru didn't realize was that Margot was feeling quite sad because she didn't want to leave her friends from her old school. Despite her feelings, Margot dutifully reported to her new school, though Gru couldn't help but find Patch's behavior a little strange. Meanwhile, at AVL headquarters, the minions, dressed in suits and looking sharp, had been promoted to special employees. The plan was to train them as a secret weapon to defeat Maxim. The call went out. We need volunteers. Who's strong and mighty enough for the task? 5 hapless minions were chosen, and they would be the first to receive an injection of super serum. The minions were placed inside a metal pod, and a huge probe above their heads injected the solution. Fortunately, the experiment was a success, and the 5 minions gained different abilities. There were no adverse reactions aside from their change in appearance. The super minions quickly became idols at AVL, enjoying star treatment, although they still had a lot to learn about using their new superpowers. But the minions were constantly fumbling with their new powers, so the person in charge decided to accelerate their learning through real-world training. Meanwhile, Gru's 2 younger daughters had arrived at the taekwondo gym, still in the rookie stage of their training. Edith was eager to earn her black belt as soon as possible, but she didn't like their new teacher, who often got into fights with the children and bullied her sister. Despite the tough environment, Edith earned everyone's respect on the first day of class. Things didn't go as smoothly for Lucy, though. As an agent, she wondered if she was truly cut out for the job of a hairstylist. Her first client was a very picky lady with unique taste who requested a particularly challenging hairstyle. Lucy, feeling the pressure, accidentally used the wrong hair dye, which caused the lady's hair to fall out and spontaneously combust. Panicking, Lucy quickly tossed the hair out, but this triggered a series of unfortunate events. The barbershop lost power, and the sparks and smoke set off the fire suppression system. Feeling guilty and overwhelmed, Lucy rushed out the door just as it was time for Margot's school day to end. Gru arrived to pick up Margot, but his younger son kept playing innocent pranks in the back seat, fooling Gru every time. When Margot finally got into the car, she revealed that someone had put a flash bomb in her locker, making it clear that her first day had not gone well. On the other hand, the 3 minions had a perfect day filled with eating, sleeping, and mischief. That evening, after putting the children to bed, Gru went outside to take out the garbage, only to find Patch sitting in his yard. Patch recognized Gru's true identity as a famous villain, explaining his strange behavior. He demanded that Gru help him with a robbery, threatening to expose Gru's location online if he refused. The next morning, Gru pretended to greet Perry and his wife calmly, but he didn't expect the hostess, Mary, to be so enthusiastic. She invited the Gru family to play tennis together. After seeing off the friendly couple, Patch threw a note from the second floor instructing Gru to meet him in the treehouse, where Maxim was also searching for Gru's whereabouts. Valentina couldn't understand why Maxim was so fixated on Gru, but the reason traced back to a talent show in ninth grade. It was a large-scale performance that Maxim had prepared for weeks. However, before he could take the stage, Gru sang the song Maxim had painstakingly prepared, ruining all his hard work. Maxim had always believed Gru did it on purpose and had never been able to let it go. At that moment, Maxim's cockroach vehicle ran out of fuel, forcing them to stop at the nearest gas station. When Maxim's card didn't work, he angrily questioned the clerk, who remained unresponsive. Enraged, Maxim used his fierce appendages to grab the clerk, suddenly inspired to test his new invention by turning the clerk into a cockroach man. On the other side of town, Lucy was out shopping with her 2 younger daughters when they unexpectedly ran into the noblewoman whose hair Lucy had accidentally shaved off. Lucy hurriedly dragged the 2 children to hide, and by the way, she found an opportunity to slip away. Who knew that she accidentally knocked over the container, completely revealing the location? Without saying a word, Lucy threw the child into the cart and played a game of cat and mouse in the supermarket. The lady behind her chased after Lucy and kept pushing down obstacles and arranging goods on the shelves. Unluckily, the lady stepped on some butter and slid straight over. Seeing this, Lucy opened the door of the refrigerator, and the noblewoman couldn't stop herself and plunged into it. However, she didn't give up the pursuit. After all, this chase was important. Lucy rushed to the supermarket door in one go, quickly ordered the cash, threw it to the teller, grabbed the shopping cart, and crashed open the supermarket door, successfully shaking off the lady behind her. Lucy drove home with her daughter, and the Edith sisters cheered in the back seat. This shopping trip was so exciting. The screen pans back to Gru's side, where Patty's treehouse doesn't even have a ladder. Poor Gru had to work so hard with his arms and legs to get inside, where Patchy had been waiting for him. All the great villains had been caught from the dolls. In order to join the Alliance of the Wicked as soon as possible, Patch plans to steal the mascot of the Wicked School, the Honey Badger. Gru, not wanting to reveal the location of his family, agrees. Patch and his party ride in a hot air balloon, heading to the School of the Wicked. The minions help the boss pack up his gear and stay in the hot air balloon to take care of the baby. Gru takes Patch with him and pulls open his bag to get his weapon, only to find it is full of diapers and powder. Gru hurriedly calls the minions down, but they accidentally let go of the rope, sending the hot air balloon with the equipment straight into the sky. Left with nothing, Gru resigns himself to his fate, using tools at hand to open the window, and they sneak in through the small window in the ceiling. Unexpectedly, halfway up, a cleaner pushes a cart into the hall. Everyone freezes, not daring to move. At a critical moment like this, how could the minions not mess up? Sure enough, the next second, they knock the baby's pacifier off. Fortunately, Gru reacts quickly enough to seize the next difficulty, bypassing the surveillance. Gru orders the minions to shoot diapers and successfully disables the cameras in the hallway. Then Patchy unlocks the door with his hairpin, and a cautious Gru motions for him not to move, blowing a handful of talcum powder behind the door. Sure enough, there was a trap hidden there, and before Gru could act, the baby crawled through the gap, climbed on the desk, and pressed buttons indiscriminately. He accidentally found the infrared switch, so everyone successfully entered the principal's office with the help of the baby. Gru vaguely remembers the location of the trap mechanism, only to see the tail of the ornament he's carrying fall from the ceiling. Inside the cage is the school's mascot, the honey badger. Gru takes out the anesthetic on the wall, ready to inject the honey badger. However, the baby opens the cage, and the next second, the honey badger pounces on Gru. The anesthetic rotates through the air, spinning 3.5 times before accurately stabbing Gru in the butt. The honey badger goes crazy, chasing the minions around, forcing them to climb to the ceiling. This time, it's Patch's turn to be chased by the honey badger. He hurriedly, Zajant accidentally touches the alarm. The office door closes instantly, and the headmaster, awakened by the alarm, rushes toward them in his wheelchair. Meanwhile, Gru is still fighting the honey badger, who is about to rush at the baby. Gru ends up stuffing a bag of baby snacks into the honey badger's mouth. The honey badger had never eaten such a delicious thing and instantly turned into a well-behaved pug. However, this place was not safe to stay in for long. Gru opened the door and, dragging his anesthetized leg, led everyone back. But he accidentally tripped over the carpet just as the headmaster was chasing after him. Gru hurriedly got up and rode on a minion to escape. The honey badger also flicked its tongue and ran wildly behind them, in love with the baby. Seeing this, the principal activated the wheelchair evolution mode, chasing them all the way. A fretful Patch almost fell down the stairs, but Gru caught him just in time. Oh no. Oh no. They managed to get rid of the principal and leave the school gate with the mascot. But the problem was that the hot air balloon was gone. Gru simply jumped into the cleaner's car, stepped on the accelerator, and soared into the sky. They returned safely to their peaceful neighborhood. Patch got the house's mascot and promised to keep it a secret, but the headmaster wouldn't let Gru go easily. He found the location of Gru's house through the school bus's tracker and immediately informed Maxim. At the same time, the super minions were patrolling the streets, looking for criminal footprints, and diligently helping out. They may cause trouble, but their heart was in the right place. Tim, who has rubber abilities, even paid tribute to a classic Spider-Man scene, but the ending was also unfortunate. Despite their best efforts, this operation caused public dissatisfaction, and the person in charge had no choice but to announce that the super minions would retire honorably just one day after taking office. The next day, Gru and his wife went to play tennis, leaving only four bear children at home, plus Patch and a minion who came over to join in the fun. Ron, being a competent babysitter, immediately fried popcorn for the children. Definitely enough of it. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, and it was none other than the headmaster, Agnes, who was in a wheelchair. The children remembered their father's words about not opening the door to strangers. The honey badger on the side smelled the principal's scent and was so frightened that it hid under the sofa, not daring to come out. Patch looked out the window and recognized the headmaster at a glance. He immediately hid, clutching the honey badger. Margot, as the eldest sister, tried to close the door and see off the guest. Principal squeezed in directly. On the other side, the hot tennis match was about to begin. As soon as the whistle blew, Perry served first, but the minion referee was very biased, deliberately causing Perry problems so that Gru could win the match. Poor Perry was tired and out of breath. Gru then received a text message from Margot, learning that someone had come to the house looking for him. Gru immediately called Lucy home and sent a distress signal to AVL. Upon receiving the message, the person in charge restarted the Super Minions program, forcibly recalling them from various resorts. Luckily, during this time, each minion's superpowers had improved significantly, and perhaps this time they could really come in handy. Meanwhile, the Gru couple rushed home to find that it wasn't Maxim. It was the headmaster who had come to ask for the mascot. The old lady was the oldest, but she had a short temper. Fortunately, Lucy was not easy to mess with either. Just when the family was about to go out together, a cockroach had already entered the community. Maxim was worried about how to steal the child unnoticed when he saw the baby run out of the house by himself. It was really a case of searching high and low, only to find it without any effort. The Gru family finally subdued the principal, but then realized that the eldest baby had disappeared. Gru hurried out the door, but was still a step too late. He could only watch as his son was taken away by Maxim. Patch drove over in a school bus and picked up Gru to chase the cockroach. They finally got close to the enemy plane, but Valentina activated the mechanism and threw them out. Fortunately, Patch's driving skills were excellent, and he managed to stabilize the school bus and fly back to the big cockroach. Gru immediately jumped down to save his son, but accidentally slid down, blocking the cockpit view. The big cockroach rushed forward, forcing them to stop on the rooftop of a building. Maxim then turned the baby into a little cockroach man, but it still looked quite cute. The baby was now completely assimilated by Maxim and did not recognize his father at all. Valentina also manipulated the cockroach to rush towards Gru. The huge mechanical Zerg kept smashing into the defenseless Gru. At that moment, the building suddenly collapsed, and the big cockroach leaked down. Seeing this, Gru picked up an iron rod and rushed towards Maxim, but the other party's Zerg was like clay. The iron frame supporting them was about to break. Gru instantly grabbed Maxim's heel and flew into the air with him, but Gru was quickly thrown away by Maxim, who was about to kick him down. The baby saw that his father was injured and actually regained his senses. He bit Maxim's ear and succeeded in freeing his father. Gru climbed back up and threw a punch, sending Maxim to the ground in embarrassment. That's when the Super Minions arrived and they teamed up to defeat Maxim. The family was finally reunited. In the end, Dr. Nefario helped the baby return to normal, and the youngest daughter was successfully reunited with her pet. Later, Gru visited Maxim in prison and confessed that in ninth grade he did steal Maxim's song. As compensation, Gru was willing to help Maxim complete the prison art show film together as partners. This is the end of the series. The fourth part of the series has completely transformed into a family-oriented animated movie, and Gru has also completely changed from Despicable Me to a doting dad.